What's up YouTube, Redbeard's Garage, and welcome back to another video. Today we're finally redeeming the street go-kart. Oh yeah! So we went up to Harbor Freight the other day and picked up a 420cc Predator. Now this is the same thing as a GX390. It's a 13 horse Predator or a Honda clone. In the last video you've seen us do jet the carburetor, put the air filter on, the exhaust, and remove the governor. We are going to have some future mods to this engine, but for now this will do just fine. We want to get it on the go-kart and see how she runs. Now a subscriber, Brad Hill, had sent us a gas tank for this motor, and it's going to look awesome on the street go-kart. And you can purchase this gas tank. The links are in the description below. It's an awesome product. It really looks good on the street go-kart. I can't wait until we get the bucket seat fitted on the street go-kart and paint the frame. Now it has been a long, stressful journey with this go-kart. Everybody that's watched the series have known that. That's the only reason the series has stretched out as long as it has. So hopefully this motor will redeem the go-kart and let her live up to the glory I know she has in her. So without further ado, let's jump on this thing and tear that GX270 off and put this 420 in place. First off, I got to pull this muffler off because it won't clear this bar while it's on there. So I'm going to pull the muffler off, go ahead and undo the chain, and then unbolt the engine, and we can pull it off there. Also, first I'm going to remove that seat actually. That seat is actually really heavy for a go-kart seat, by the way. I'm definitely going to have to put a fiberglass on it. It's going to lighten it up a bit, you know, make this thing as light as possible so we get the most power as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and undo the master link on this chain and get this motor ready to be pulled. So we got that chain drop down. And put it right there on the table. Now I can unbolt this exhaust. By the way, if you're building go-karts and you can afford one of these motorcycle lifts, that is the best money you will ever spend. I found it on a parking lot sale for $279. They're normally like $430. I'm telling you, this thing is awesome. Can't believe I've lived life without one. If you remember, I had to do spacers on those bolts on the muffler because these are studs on this on these big block engines. They have studs instead of bolts, and they got a little naked spot with no thread, so you need to do little spacers to be able to clear that. Now I can unbolt this muffler hanger, and we can go ahead and put the muffler on our new engine and get it ready to swap. There we go. Slide that muffler right off there. And these mufflers actually sound really awesome. You can get these from China for $15, but I bought these from Amazon for $30, but they're a really good deal. They got a real deep throaty sound. Now we got it all ready to unbolt the engine, and I'm going to go ahead and take all these bolts out. I'm going ahead and unhooking the throttle cable so we can, once we unbolt the engine, we'll be ready to slide this thing right out. Also do have to unhook that return spring that I rigged up there. And we are going to be painting this frame as soon as we get the motor situation figured out. Just want to let everybody know. I know this frame's sitting here rusting, but it is going to get a paint job. Unhook the kill switch, and now the motor can be pulled out of here. Now I'm going to remove the torque converter off of this motor because we're going to be using it on the 420. And that was a 5/8 socket that I used to take this front pulley off. And then on these belts on the 40 series, you can actually pull them off without having to, you know, take the front pulley off. So that's really nice. I just slide this front pulley off. You can see how many spacers I had to use to make the belt lined up. What you really need to do with these 40 series is once you got it all installed on the go-kart, you need to jack the go-kart up off the ground on the rear and really rev it out and see if the belt is leaning in once these pulleys fully engage, so you don't wear your belt out real quick. I know that seems like a lot of washers, but that's what I needed to keep my belt in line. Now I got these 4 half 1/2" bolts we're going to take out, and then we can go to installing this on the Predator. So we got that torque converter all removed. The only other thing we're going to take off of this motor is the air filter elbow that I had made. We'll go ahead and spin the motor around. If you remember, I made this elbow. We're going to use that on the Predator as well, and we need that air filter adapter to put on our Predator carburetor. Taking this air filter adapter off. And we also need to use this spacer that is on this engine. The spacer is a metal spacer with a rubber O-ring. The Predator 420s has this built onto the airbox, so you do need to buy one of these on Amazon or eBay. I will have a link in the description below of where you can pick this little insulator up. Like I said, it's like a little metal gasket with an O-ring kind of built onto it. And that's pretty much all we're going to be using off of this GX 270. And we're probably going to go ahead and install a Mikuni on this. The next time you see this engine, put probably a, I don't know, maybe a 32mm Mikuni so we can get this fuel right. This is actually a GX 390 carburetor that we put on the 270. Now this is the same thing as a Predator 420 carburetor, and this is the factory piece that was on the airbox. You can see how it has these channels to allow air to go to these particular ports on the carburetor. If you can see that, it has the opening up there, down there, and right there. So the problem with the air filter adapters is then when we put the air filter adapter onto the studs, it is blocking off one of the ports. Now that would cause a problem. I don't know if it's an idle problem or a wide open throttle, but what you need to get is, they sell these insulators on eBay. I don't know if that's the correct name, but it's basically a piece of metal with an O-ring built onto it. This is basically the same thing that this piece of plastic was on the airbox. Now on a 212, it has this metal piece in between the airbox and the carburetor, so you can simply use it with the Go Power Sports air filter adapter. But when putting it on a 420, and I believe a 301 is the same, or a GX 270, 340, or 390, you need to go on eBay or Amazon and buy one of these spacers to put in between the carb and the air filter adapter. That's just where you're not going to have any problems. This thing is like $4 or $5. They're not much, and it's not going to block that other port. It's going to allow spacing in between this and the carburetor to allow that port to grab some air. The link will be in the description below of where you can grab one of these at, and make sure you put this on your GX 270, 340, or 390, or 301 420cc Predators. Now I'm going to have to install the torque converter onto this engine, and remember, you need to let your engine kind of hang off the side of a workbench, because the torque converter does, you know, protrude off the side of the motor. Now we're ready to put this torque converter on the 420. I don't think I'll have to trim the oil fill. Looks like it is clearing on this engine. Now if y'all want a detailed installation video on this torque converter, it's the 40 series. Make sure to go check on the channel. I actually put a little icon that'll pop up on the screen where you can go watch the video that I had done on this torque converter on a GX 270, which, you know, is the same, pretty much the same motor as this. It's a little bit smaller, of course, but everything hooks up the same way. Alright, so I got this torque converter all installed. Like I said, if you want a detailed installation video, it'll be on the screen. And yeah,
This thing is rusty pretty bad.
now we just got to pull this engine back, pick it up the back end right there. I do have to adjust the filter a little bit, wearing the balls. So this pipe does touch a little bit, but once we tension the chain up, it will not touch anymore. So we'll go ahead and start throwing the chain on and putting the bolts in the engine, and we'll be going. I'm gonna go ahead and throw these engine bolts in just to hold everything lined up. Slide the engine over. We will have to, it looks like we're going to have to slide the sprocket over. Maybe this engine's bolt pattern's a little bit different, but the rear isn't going to line up without hitting the sprocket. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the collars on the sprocket and get it slid over. And those things was a little bit seized on there. So what I'm doing is loosening up the collars on this sprocket, and then I'm gonna have to move everything over a little bit. No problem though. Tell you that rusty axle isn't helping out with nothing. Son, this is hard to... Oh my goodness. I think I remember why you don't have me work on stuff. So we got that all lined up. Of course we'll have to line up the sprocket all the way when we get everything cinched down. We haven't had a good ride video in a while either, like where we're just ripping up the roads on the go-karts. Probably the last one, what, was Little Red, 56 mile an hour run? Well, we tried this one, of course, and no bueno. We will revive this go-kart with this engine. I'm sure of it. You know, I did just remember something.
What's that?
Didn't put no oil in this engine. So, I will have to run and grab some oil because I like to put synthetic in these motors. And I do not have any, so I'm going to see how far our chain is off. Now this engine seems like it's a lot different from that 9 horse. My chain definitely isn't long enough, and the engine's pushed up about as far as it can go. This is interfering more, like on the GX 270. This didn't touch that pipe at all. It actually had like 1/4 of an inch of gap in between it. So I'm going to have to do some adjusting, find out how I can make this work, because it has to have this bend. I may have to angle it out. I don't even know if that would work on it, but it's definitely going to need something to kick this filter out. So it looks like I'm going to have to pull this filter off just for a little bit to see what we can do about this. I can't remember on the street go-kart. I think I had it all tightened up into place and then put my filter on. So we'll try that, and if not, we'll figure out a way to make it work. That's for sure. I mean, it's a hair from reaching. All right, so we got the air filter put back on. There's a tiny little bit of clearance, but that's the way it was before. I mean, you didn't have much clearance between the elbow and this pipe. And I could dent this pipe with a hammer and give it clearance, but that's going to be fine. Shouldn't interfere none. And the chain is tensioned up. We have one bolt tightened down. Now I'm going to go around and tighten up all the bolts. I did have to, what was really strange is the old master link out of the old 40 chain, we had to cut a new chain 1 link longer. And the master link wouldn't work in the new 40 chain. I've never seen that before. It was weird. It was like the shafts wasn't as long on the master link. I've never seen that before. I just thought that was strange. But now I'm going to cinch all these bolts down, and we can start adapting that throttle wire. And pretty much once the throttle's hooked up, seat bolts on, and we're ready to ride. It is raining outside, so we're going to have to ride this thing tomorrow. Hopefully it isn't raining then. So we have everything mounted up, the chain's all tensioned up, and the motor's bolted down. One thing I did forget to mention, but you'll be seeing a lot more of this on the channel, is these cup washers from Performance Engineering. They reached out to me, and I absolutely love their product. I've actually ran these things on my cars before. When I built my turbo car, I ran a bunch of them, and then I also had that black Altima that's in the intro. And when I did some stuff to the engine, I replaced a lot of the bolts with these Allen head and cup washers. So basically it's a stainless steel bolt with a billet aluminum or an anodized aluminum cup that goes, you know, the bolt goes through it and then it bolts onto the head. I have them everywhere on this engine, and basically from now on my motors will have these. I've always loved these. Like I said, I've ran these on cars in the past, and they look awesome. Adds a little touch that probably no one else is going to have on their engine. I am going to do the exhaust ones later, but I need to remove these studs, and for now we're just seeing, you know, how this all performs, and we'll do some swapping out later. Of course, once we get it out in the sunlight, we'll do a couple shots of it, but they look awesome. Like I said, if you look hard enough, they are everywhere. I even did them on the back of this starter box. Now this starter box will get moved up to the front, but for now I left this kill switch and I actually ran it through the frame and came out right in front of the engine to make it all clean. I do have to bolt this brake line down. I just need to fix it where we need it so it's just not, you know, flipping down and maybe dragging on the ground. And we got the throttle pedal all hooked up. Basically I just put it through there using old throttle cable eye from the Predator 212, as well as a throttle cable hold down from a Predator 212 throttle assembly, and then the cable goes back to a little bracket that I had made, And basically, if you put a one of the 8mm bolts that comes off this engine, you know, I changed a bunch of them out with these cup washers, so I had a bunch laying around. I just made this little 90, put another one of those Predator 212 throttle hold downs, and then ran it over, drilled a hole in this arm, and put another one of those eyelets under there. Now I do need to run a new piece of fuel line from this filter to the carb and get rid of this fuel shutoff, which I really don't want to, but my local parts store doesn't have the flat style filters. I definitely want to run a filter from this gas tank. I don't like running them without it. And I know the carb has a fuel shutoff, but I like to be able to shut it off so when I take the tank off of the motor, you know, I'm not pouring gas everywhere. So I'm probably going to get the pancake style filter. I may have to order it offline for now because, like I said, I don't think none of my local parts stores have those in stock. But it all works nice. I'll try to do this one-handed. You can see the throttle setup works really good, but you know, I just don't want it hitting that fuel shutoff right there. So I need to solder up some terminals for the battery on this engine. So I've got some copper lugs in the vise. I'm gonna get my torch lit and start soldering them. So you can see that lug is all soldered on there. That's the only way to really do these bigger ones. You can crimp them and they'll hold just fine, but I like to know that they're on there forever. You can see the little bead in between the rubber and the lug. So that bad boy is not going anywhere. So now I'm going to heat shrink it and then put some braided cable covers on it. So first I got to cut it to length and then solder on the lug on the other side. Why I did both ends of this cable is because I'm going to use the same color wire for ground as well as hot. I'm going to know the difference so I don't have to, you know, make them color specific. And I think I have some red heat shrink that I can use on the hot. Okay, so now I'm going to do the first fire up. I did put some oil in it. These 420s hold 1.16 quarts of oil, and I use 1030 synthetic, full synthetic oil. But I got the battery all hooked up. I'll show you all how I mounted the battery. It's just a something to test with, and I'm going to build a little battery box for this thing. So let's give it the first fire. A little nervous, I ain't gonna lie. Fuel is on, choke is on. Oh, the work's done and Lonnie shows up.
As always, perfect time. Woo! Put some air in these tires and go.
Yeah, she's ready to ride. I did let it idle for around 10 minutes. What we're going to do is ride it, and then we're going to do an oil change after today's ride, just to get all that old oil junk out of it. And for those that don't know, you change the oil right there. You can actually buy a little lead that comes off this that you can kind of hang off the back of the cart. I will be ordering one of those. I think they're around 20 bucks on eBay. It's just handy where you don't get oil all over this engine plate every time you change your oil. But she shoots flames, dude. Didn't expect that. She's a flamethrower. It's going to be me. You can tell.
It looks beautiful.
Yes, and the spoiler is going to look awesome on it. Should I go ahead and throw the spoiler on?
Yeah.
It's 4 bolts.
Do it.
So I'm going to throw the spoiler on and throw my big jacket on, GoPro and whatnot, and I'm going to take the first rips on it.
We ride.
So we got everything ready to go. I've already fired it up. I do need to add some gas to it. and she's ready to ride. This thing, as you've seen, she shoots flames, so I'm expecting it to be pretty mean. Please don't let me down, Street Go-Kart. Please. I've gave you so much love.
She looks good.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I mean, it does need painted pretty bad, and it needs that bucket seat very soon. The next thing is bucket seat and the steering, because remember the steering's all messed up. But I'm going to add some gas in it. I'm going to throw my GoPro on, so most of the footage will be GoPro, and we're going to do a big ride this weekend. It's freezing outside, so I'm doing this for you, YouTube, so you better love it.
Yeah, so sorry for the shaking, because I'm cold.
Dude, I don't think I've ever been more excited to ride one of our go-karts than this one. I don't know why. Watch it be a massive letdown, but I'm pumped. Just the way it looks and how this thing's giving us so much, problems. I'm ready for this thing to do good. Camera look all right?
Yeah,
pretty good. All right, so we're ready to go. Hopefully the torque converter doesn't stick up on us and take off like a freaking rocket. Got Cam in her.
I don't know if you guys can hear it on the camera, but he's on down the road and I hear him and it still sounds good. Alright, he's finally coming back. It took a little longer than I expected. Maybe that's a good thing. He's having too much fun.
She's got so much torque, it's crazy, but Little Red would stomp it on top end. This thing will actually take off like sideways with you. Oh man, it's fun. You want to ride it?
Yeah, I want to ride it. What kind of question is that?
Holy moly, that thing, she totally redeemed herself. Oh man, it has nothing on top end. Like, it probably runs maybe in the 30s, but dude, it takes off so hard. It needs to be re-geared, because this thing would be stupid top end if it was re-geared, for sure. All right,
Where'd you go?
electric start, dollar store.
That's it?
Yeah.
It seemed like you were gone forever.
No, I drifted around the dollar store parking lot.
Did you?
The loop, but you got, dude, it's got a lot of power. She hooks too. You get these tires warmed up and it's awesome.
This is nice too.
Yeah, it's really nice. The thing is awesome. I'm so happy with the street go-kart. There's more to come for this go-kart. We're definitely going to re-gear it because it does have way too much torque. And I mean, not too much torque, but I would rather it have a little bit more top end. But then again, it would be an awesome, you put a set of sleeves on it, it'd probably be too much. Probably wouldn't want to move much. I would say Lonnie, in a wet parking lot, you could drift it all day, but I'd say Lonnie could almost drift this thing. It is fun for sure. We do have a few more upgrades coming. We do need to fix that steering and get the seat, you know, the new seat put on it. But oh man, I'm so happy. So happy. Thank you, Jesus. So Lonnie, do you think it's redeemed?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Around dollar store, you can just drift around that whole turn.
Especially in the rain, dude.
Oh.
This thing would be awesome.
You'd probably lose control in the rain. It's got so much power. Like down there, I just tapped the gas.
Yeah, it's completely redeemed.
Whew.
Redeemed.
Redeemed.
So do we even have to say anything at this point? It's awesome.
Oh yeah, the 420 is amazing.
I'm telling you, Little Red would stomp it on top end, but take off to mid-range, this thing is stupid fast.
Oh yeah. You can spin on asphalt.
I mean,
we've never been able to do that.
On any of our go-karts we could. I mean, Little Red was so short and stuff, it wanted to pop a wheelie. This one would never pop a wheelie. It's just so, it's got such a stance to it, but I can take off on asphalt or concrete and just get it sideways. And I'm sure Lonnie, weighing so much less than me, it's probably even a bigger hoot with him on it. We're going to go back down to that parking lot that we did the wheelies on Little Red, and Lonnie's going to drift around the parking lot, and I'm sure I can. The thing has so much torque, it's crazy. It does need gear different if we wanted to achieve. The thing would get stupid mile per hour on top end.
It would be crazy, but I would say Little Red's probably almost double on top end. I'd say this goes around 30 is where it tops out right now. Yeah,
30 to 35-ish probably. Yeah, Little Red goes 56. But if we just did a sprocket change, probably both on the axle and the torque converter, the thing would get like, I would say over 60 mile an hour easy. It has so much torque right now, we could play with that so we don't have, of course, much torque and just scream on top end.
Probably around 70.
Yeah, it's going to scream. We're going to do that later, but we got some plans for this go-kart.
We got some drifting to do first.
Yes. So guys, make sure to thank Go Power Sports. We wouldn't have been able to do this without their help. We put all their performance parts on it. There will be more performance parts coming for this engine, so you'll have to stay tuned. The link's in the description below where you'll find that discount code for Go Power Sports, all the parts that we use on this engine, as well as the contact information for Brad Hill. Now, Brad Hill made us that awesome gas tank, and I think it looks amazing on the street go-kart.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I went to go look at it, and it wasn't there.
Yeah, it's still outside at the moment because we just got done riding it a little bit ago. But make sure to go check out Brad Hill. He'll make you a custom tank. He'll make battery boxes. Pretty much anything out of aluminum or steel the guy can make for your go-kart, and his work is you know,
top notch.
Yeah, top notch for sure. Make sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Give us a like and a follow there, and make sure to stop by on our live streams. We're going to be scheduling them soon, and ask us some questions and hang out. We have a pretty good time doing those.
Last one was really fun.
Oh yeah. But guys, always come back to Redbeard's Garage, and we're out.